This podcast is not a substitute for a relationship with your mental health professional. Hey, family. Welcome back to the Mental Health is a Lifestyle podcast with your girl, Andrea Wise-Brown. Family, happy New Year. Yes, family, it is a new year. It is 2025, and this is our first episode of 2025. Family, I'm happy to see you again. And if you have not joined the family as of yet, guess what? You get to do so today. It's free. All you have to do is click that little subscribe button, subscribe to the podcast, like the podcast, and share the podcast. And then guess what? What I would love you to do is to comment on the podcast. Talk to me. Talk to me, my brother. Talk to me, my sister. You can comment on the podcast. Oh, and if you're listening to the podcast through on any of the podcast platforms, then please give us 5 stars. Okay, that's what they did over at Apple. They gave us 5 stars. Okay, family. So, our new family too. The intention of this podcast is to empower you and to inspire you while educating you so that you live your best life, the life that you desire, and not allow anyone else to get in the way of that, of your desire. All right. And so that's what this is here for. That's what I am here for. That's what this platform is here for. And as you grow, I am going to tell you something, family, that I also grow. I continue to grow. I am on, I am on the long track of growing into my most authentic self, just like I am hoping that you are. Okay. And whatever I teach, trust me, I practice. All right. I practice. Okay, family. So this week we are going to talk about triggers. As the last episode, I kind of talked to you about trauma and how most people were traumatized during childhood. Well, so now what I want to tell you is I want to build on that and I want to talk to you about triggers. So sometimes in life, things will pop up and happen and they will trigger our trauma. Many times it's unbeknownst to you. It sits in your subconscious. And when you're triggered to some pain of the past and then physically you act out in your current daily life. Now, the reason why acting out in our current daily life could be a problem because acting out could result in ending up in jail. That could be one. Ruining relationships with your friendships, ruining relationships with your romantic partner, ruining relationships with your family, ruining your relationships at your job. Okay. The problem comes when we act out and we don't act out appropriately. Our actions will put us in a space that is less desirable by us. Put us in a place where we will lose something that we value. All right. And I don't want you to lose anything that you value. So today I am going to give you some steps, some things that I want you to do or put in place when you feel like you are triggered to some childhood trauma. All right. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start off with number 1. So the number 1 step is to acknowledge that you triggered. You need to acknowledge that you are triggered and that you are acting out because of some trauma from your past. So I'll give you an example. And these are people that I've seen before in my practice in the past, a long time ago. And they've given me permission to talk about them. I just will either exchange names or don't use a name. So let's just say this man who came to me, and the reason why he came to me is because he was getting written up at work. He was verbally abusive to his romantic partner. He also would get physical when he would be out like at dinners or when he would go out to lounges or clubs. He would often get physical and he'd get arrested. He had been arrested several times. And so he came to me for anger management because he really wanted to learn how to manage his anger. Now, this is the thing that's so interesting. When he came to me, he didn't necessarily want me to help him manage his anger. What he wanted was he didn't want to be in trouble because he was actually made to come to a therapist for anger management. So he came because he didn't want to get in trouble. So what I'm saying to you is his behavior that was problematic, he liked that because he had learned some time before subconsciously that acting out physically would let the pain of that anger go away. You got me? So he actually was using his physicality, okay, his fighting, he was using that as a defense mechanism. So he thought it was working for him until he started losing the things in his life that he loved, that he enjoyed. Okay. So his fighting, his anger was getting in the way of his quality of life, of his partnership, with his romantic partner. It was getting in the way of his friendships. It was getting in the way at his job where he was almost losing his job. So as he was starting to work with me, of course I do, y'all know I love to peel back the layers of the onion. So as I started to work with him and peel back these layers, what his story was, and I'll just give you a little snapshot of it, is he was the youngest son of, of three boys. So he was the youngest of three boys. And what he would often find himself in is situations where he was picked on a lot by his brothers. He was picked on a lot in school. He was bullied a lot in school. And as he started to maturate, as he started to grow and move up in life, he often would find himself in situations where he felt picked on again, or he felt overlooked in some ways, or he felt dismissed. And these were real stories. So this wasn't just in his imagination. Like, he really did experience being dismissed and picked over when he was a child by, like I said, bullying by kids in school and by both of his older brothers. I mean, he said that they would often fight him and he felt like he couldn't win. They would put him in headlocks. And when he would ask for help, like scream out to his father or to his mother, then his father would say to him, well, you acting like a girl. You need to take it. So he never felt like he was supported or he got help. So what happened was he turned into or maturated into a man who was holding a grudge towards anybody who he thought was coming at him because they wanted to make him feel smaller than what he was. They wanted to belittle him, overlook him, or to bully him, even when it was not true. And that's one thing that trauma does to us. It sticks with us like glue. It gets all on our seeing eyeglasses, our perception of how we see the world. And so now as you're walking through the world, if you've been, I'm going to say, for him, he felt like he was being abused and he wasn't protected. If you had been abused and not protected, then when you start to walk through the world as an adult, so even when he went to college and now as an adult, that is all on your seeing eyeglasses. So when you start to see the world, that's the first thing you see. So if you're standing in line somewhere and you feel like somebody jumped in front of you, the first thing you're going to think of is, they trying to punk me. They dismissing me. Oh, I see. Oh, they think I'm a chump. They trying to belittle me. So that is a trigger that triggers you back to that childhood trauma. And now your response is what we're talking about today. So when your response looks like you want to take your fist and bop that person in the head who stepped in front of you, that response is the response that's probably going to get you in jail. That response is the unhealthy response. Or when you're at the house and you're with your romantic partner, your significant other, and all of a sudden they start to disagree with something, and we'll use the same guy, we'll use his story. So when his significant other, who was a woman, would start to disagree with what it was that he had to say, his point of view, and then she would double down on it, was like, no, I don't believe what you have to say. Like, no, this is what happened. His response, he would be triggered to the trauma from his past, and his response would be to cuss her out and to sometimes put her in a chokehold. And as you know, that is absolutely negative behavior. That is maladaptive behavior. That is abusive behavior. That behavior has to go. And that behavior is what's going to get your behind in jail, or at least in my office for anger management. Okay, so there you go. So that would be triggers. Those are little triggers that could take a person back to their childhood trauma. But the reality is when we're triggered, sometimes the triggers are triggers, but it may not be valid for how you should act going forward. Those triggers to that trauma may be to that trauma, but not necessarily to what is actually happening in reality today. So this is why we have to work through that. So the first thing you have to do when you find yourself in situations like this where you're reactive, the first thing you're doing is you're going to acknowledge, oh shoot, I'm triggered. So if you're in his situation, you're going to go, I'm triggered because right now I want to choke this person that just stood in front of me. And I know that's not right. I know I don't want to go to jail. I really don't want to get into a big fight because what is that going to look like? Like, I really don't, even though I really feel like I could take him under, and I'm really hoping he not chumping me. But hold on. Let me see. I believe that I'm triggered. So that's the first step. Then the second step is going to be to pause. Pause and take a breath. So hey family, come on over here because I have something for you. Starting off with a go-to guide for keeping your minds healthy and strong. This right here is the Bible to mental health. It's your mental health Bible. The name of it is 6 Pillars to Power Up Your Mind and Make Mental Health a Lifestyle. Everything that you need to know about keeping your minds healthy and strong is in this go-to guide. Where you get it from? Well, you get it from awisebrown.com/shop. But in this go-to guide, honey, in this mental health Bible, you know what you're going to find out? You're going to find out the benefits of aromatherapy, and how it can shift your mood. But guess what? You don't have to go any place else to look for your aromatherapy because your girls got you, okay? You can get some aromatherapy here. This is aromatherapy is in this candle. This is called a slice of happiness. It makes me tingle, like literally makes me tingle. A slice of happiness. This is a cruelty-free candle with no parabens, no formaldehyde, and no known suspected carcinogenics. Now, you know, you go out here and you find these candles that smell good, but are they good for you? Are they good for your brain? Come on now, get real with yourself. Well, this one smells delicious and it's good for you. Made with essential oils. It's a soy candle. Amazing. You can burn it or you can just walk by and smell it. Lord have mercy, it's so good. Okay, so that's your candle, your aromatherapy, which raises the dopamine in your brain. That's your natural feel good. Neurotransmitters in your brain. All right, y'all. And I'm a part of you. You're a part of me. We are a family. We got hoodies now, and these are unisex hoodies, and they wear well, they wash well, and they feel so good. So you can wear them over your clothes, you know what I'm saying, and look dope, or you can wear them as your clothes with nothing under them, which I like to do often. And when you travel everywhere, I mean, every time I wear them, I'm moving around. People are always asking me whether I'm traveling, going to the supermarket. What's that? Who's that? And I'm like, mental health is a lifestyle. Because see, this is on the back. Okay? They come in white and they come in black. I'm like, join the family. Mental health is a lifestyle podcast. So there you go. Family, don't you ever say that I ain't give you nothing. You get all of these things from awisebrown.com/shop. All right? I got your goods. I got you. You don't have to go anyplace else. I'll see you on the other side. So if I pause and I take a breath, then what I'm doing is while I'm in this impulsive state where I feel angry and I feel like I need to react, while I'm in that impulsive state, my sympathetic nervous system is activated. It is going crazy. It's doing this. And if you're listening on the podcast, I'm just moving around. That's what it's doing. So if I take a deep breath, then what I'm doing is I am activating my parasympathetic nervous system, which is my natural calm. So it's pulling all of those jitters into order. And so now I can somewhat calm myself. Okay. So I have pause. I will tell you another thing, honey. There is power in the pause because when we are impulsive, and this is me, I am saying this is by Andrea Wise-Brown. When we are impulsive, 95% of the time, we will make the wrong decision. 95% of the time. Now, the 5% of the time that we make the right decision when we're impulsive is if we are on a train track and all of a sudden we look up and there's a train that is coming and it's really close to where we are, then in that moment, being impulsive is what you need to be. So that's the 5% that really says that's the right thing to do. Because when we're impulsive, there's three responses. It's either fight, flight, or freeze. Fight, flight, which is run, or freeze, where you're just stuck and frozen and you feel like you can't do anything. That's what happens when we're impulsive and that nervous system, our sympathetic nervous system, takes over. Okay. So usually that's the response that's triggered from trauma, that I am either going to fight, I'm going to flight, which is run, or just freeze and let them mow me over. So since 95% of the time, when we are impulsive, we make the wrong decision. When you pause, you activate that parasympathetic nervous system, but then there's a second thing that happens, family, when you pause. When you pause, okay, you give your higher level of functioning, the executive functioning in your brain, which is the last part of the brain that is developed. That is your prefrontal lobe. You give it time to kick in. So initially, when you're in these situations, when your brain starts to react, when you are feeling fear, there's a primal brain. Okay. So that is the back part of your brain. That's the back part of the brain. Now, a lot of animals, they have the primal brain. If you ever think about a dog, when a dog hears all of a sudden something like a big thump, then they do one of three things. They fight, flight, which is run, or just freeze. That's what they do. So that's primal brain. Well, human beings do that too. However, human beings, I am here to tell you that you have something that God gave you that's special, that separates you from animals. And that for you is your higher level of functioning. So the second part of your brain that was developed later, that is completely developed at age 25, is your prefrontal lobe. And in that prefrontal lobe, that is where all of the logic kicks in. That's where your problem solving starts to work. That's where your reasoning is. But it doesn't happen right away. So first, the pain has to go through your primal brain, okay? So when something happens, the primal brain kicks in. You got those three choices, but what Andrea is telling you to do today is to pause, that there's power in the pause. Once you pause, and then you give your time, your brain time, the higher level of functioning, because it doesn't kick in right away. Yeah, give it about 5 to 10 minutes. And then it starts to kick in. Now you cooking with grease, because now you are problem solving. You're coming up with a different way to remedy the situation, even if you are triggered by your childhood trauma. So let's use that same example of the man that's in line and he's been felt discarded, disrespected all of his life, abused, tossed over and unprotected during childhood. Now someone steps in front of him in line, and his old response, when he was just allowing his primal brain to dictate what he would do physically or how he would act out, now, okay, after working with Andrea and teaching him some skills, he waits a minute. When he waits about 5 minutes, 7 minutes, now his problem solving starts to kick in. Now his reasoning, his logic. Now he can say to the person, "Excuse me, did you realize that I was standing here? Like there's a whole line here and we've been waiting." And so it just I don't know that, that you really recognize that there was a line here. Now, calm. And then you give that person time to respond. And I am going to tell you, family, 9 times out of 10, that person is going to respond with, "Oh my goodness, I had no idea. I didn't even know that there was a line. I was just trying to get up here and get my stuff together. I didn't even know. Oh, no problem. Where's the line at?" Okay, that's usually what's going to happen. Now, there is going to be somebody that 1 out of 10% who might want smoke because of their childhood trauma and them feeling like, I don't know, they don't want you to tell them, whatever. But anywho, we'll discuss that on another podcast. The reality is this: once that part of your brain kicks in, even if you encounter a person who wants to be belligerent and wants to just go off talking about something else, you are at a space where you are going to know how to handle it, because you're already thinking in your mind, you already seeing the clank clank on the jail bars, like you already seeing the clank clank on the cop car. You're already seeing how this situation could pull out because you're not in that primal state of brain. You are in your executive functioning, and you are going to make the best decision for yourself. Okay? All right, y'all. So there's power in that pause. So remember, the first step was acknowledging your triggers. What's your trigger? Okay, now I know it. When I'm triggered to my trauma, to my childhood trauma, I am going to pause. Then once I pause, and as I told you, what's all the things that are in the pause? There's power in that pause. The next thing you're going to do is challenge your perception. Those little glasses that you got on, that you wear, how you see the world, which tells you, those glasses tell you that everybody is against you and everybody's trying to take you down. Well, we're going to challenge them. We're going to clean them off, because maybe, as that person said, once you ask them, why did they stand in front of you? Or even when you let them know, like, this is a whole line here. Maybe you didn't see it. Now you're starting to understand. You're taking some of that trauma off of those glasses, that, maybe this is not a dirty situation. This might not be a smudgy situation. It might really just be a mistake. And now everything is resolved. Okay, there we go. So there you go. Okay, so you're going to challenge your perception. Challenging it. Yeah. This doesn't have to be what I thought it was. This could clearly be something else. Okay, then your next step is to set boundaries. Setting boundaries. So, setting boundaries is going back to this same situation. So now they're in line. So then you say to them, well, the back of the line, yeah, the line starts back there. Yeah, because you're letting them know, like, this is not okay. Unless you start to look at them, they're starting to look at you, and then you realize, there might be some magic here, maybe from one thing or another. I don't know. Maybe whoever this person is might offer you, I don't know, to take you to lunch. Or they might offer you, I don't know, a free Starbucks card if you allow them to scoot in line in front of you. Maybe they will allow you, I don't know, they will ask you or invite you to go do something else with them. And you might just like it. So now at this point, you are going to set your boundaries. Got me? So it's either, okay, yeah, you could get in front of me if you give me that Starbucks card, or no, you're going to have to see the back of that line. Hey, have a good day. So you want to set boundaries, because boundaries keep us safe. They are lines of love. And you can set a boundary with love, with a smile. Like, I'm not mad. I'm not mad. And you don't need to be mad. But that's what the back of the line is. Set boundaries with love. And then the last one, honey, which is, y'all know this is always the first one, is trust God. Trust God. Trust God through working out these steps. Trust God in implementing these steps, in keeping your mind clear so that you can make good decisions. Trust God in this person's response. God, okay, I'm about to go in. I'm about to set some boundaries. Please let this person be on their rocker. Like, trust God through this situation, because he said that you're supposed to live life abundantly. So that means this doesn't have to be a blow up. He said that you're supposed to live life prosperously. I don't know what is the person going to offer you? Could offer you a lot of money. I don't know what it is. Maybe offer you that, Starbucks gift card, and you might need it because you might be a little hungry because you've been standing in this line a little long. So just trusting God through all processes, because he, as I would always tell you, is the Alpha and Omega, and you're always winning when you're connected to him. We are on the course of growing. Okay. And that's what God does. So trust him, because he's always setting you up and conspiring for your good. All right, family. Well, now you have your tools. You know what to do when you are triggered. When you are triggered from your past, from your trauma. Now you know what to do. I just gave you all the steps. I love you, family. I love you. I love you. I love you. We have just completed another episode of the Mental Health is a Lifestyle podcast. This is in the new year, because I want you to know your triggers so that you act out in a way that's going to bring you all of the things that you desire. I am giving you these tools. I'm trying to help you set your year off right. Okay? And so I, family, am going to see you again on the next episode. I love you. I love you. I love you.